folks, we are live here at UB Stadium to wrap up UB's second scrimmage of the fall season. Things are starting to take, sort of the course of action as defining, who's going to be the quarterback going into week one with Robert Morris. What were your biggest sort of takeaways from today's scrimmage?
My biggest takeaway is that the quarterback battle is still what we thought going in. No separation on the field. Vantrease and Matt Myers pretty much even, and I expect this to continue that way heading into the regular season.
Yeah, I don't think either of them have really taken too far steps ahead. It seems like, each one of them will be like one step ahead of the other, but it goes sort of back and forth between Myers and Vantrease mostly. Dom Johnson has his spots, but I don't think he's necessarily still really in this to win that spot going into week one. The freshman Trevor Bazinski still continues to dazzle with some of his arm strength. He had a beautiful back shoulder touchdown throw mixed in there, and it's just really nice to see these receivers are starting to build a bit of chemistry. You have guys like Carlton Todd, Bernard Porter, who are really starting to work things in, especially with Antonio Nunn nursing that right knee injury.
Yeah, I think Bernard Porter is going to be a very good player on this team. He's been flashing all throughout fall camp. The players speak really highly of him. Carlton Todd, like you said, another player that keeps on getting mentioned. And then Daniel Lee was name dropped by Coach Leipold earlier today. So the receiving group, a lot of a work in progress, but they're getting there. And I think we're going to see this unit continue to mold itself throughout the regular season.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't able to see Daniel Lee today. He was another one of those receivers who were out. They got a couple guys with just some small injuries. Looks like nothing that should linger into the season, hopefully. But another guy that stuck out to me was freshman tight end Tyler Stevens. Seemed like Lance Leipold's eyes really lit up when we brought him up in the press conference there. I think the freshman, he's 6'5", 6'6", added about 30 pounds of muscle since he was recruited last year. I think he can add something dynamic at that tight end position to continue sort of what they've had at the tight end position, whether it's Mason Schreck, Matt Weiser, or anyone else in between. They have talent at tight end, and I think between LaFave and Stevens, that can really help improve this offense.
Completely agree. And Coach Leipold, he mentioned that weight gain by Stevens during the offseason. That's huge for him because at first Leipold looked at him as a developmental guy. Well, maybe now he's a guy that can actually handle the college workload and actually contribute earlier than what the coaching staff originally thought for him.
Yeah, another guy like that I think is Ron Cook, another freshman running back, only 5'7", but the guy has tremendous vision, one-cut breakaway speed. You saw he made a couple real big dynamic plays out there. It looks like he may be the team's #1 returner, which would offer him a big spot on this team. There wasn't much of a return game last year, one of the worst in the country, I believe. So that would be a nice help for whoever's quarterback to have some nice field position to start. And if he's going to be able to do stuff like that in the return game, I think you have to work him into the offense a little bit, whether it's gadget plays or not. He offers a lot, on the flank and in the slot as well as coming out of the backfield. So he's a dynamic guy who I think that UB fans should look out for, number 23.
Yeah, and the one thing about Ron Cook, too, is this entire UB backfield is loaded. Jarrett Patterson, Kevin Marks, they get all the attention, and rightfully so. They're going to have good years again as sophomores. But Ron Cook, he has shown a lot of explosiveness at times during practice. And even Theo Anderson, another player who's shown that he's more than capable of filling in if needed. Look for Ron Cook to really be a contributor on this team in future years, but starting off with the main focus on special teams this year.
Yeah, and going from special teams, let's transition to defense a little. I don't think they were ever burned too bad by the offense, especially early with the starters out there. I thought Devin Russell looked really good. Joey Banks was making a couple plays. So I think they'll be sound there. I had no real issues with the defense coming into the season. I thought everything would sort of fill out pretty well, a lot of guys with experience, and I think that's really what we saw today.
Yeah, this defense is exactly what I thought when we had our bullet points fall camp preview earlier in the month. They're not going to be the greatest thing that you've ever seen, but they're going to be a solid defense. I expect them to hold teams to the mid-20s per game. And like you said, right now I think they're a little bit ahead of where the UB offense is at. You see them making some solid plays on the defensive side of the ball. A couple interceptions today, one interception thrown by Myers, another one thrown by Vantrease with the pre-Washington, taking that one close to the house. But this defense, I like what I'm seeing out of them so far, and I think they're going to be solid in 2019.
Yep. Hopefully this quarterback battle will now get figured out as we head into Robert Morris 2 Thursdays, the 29th at 7 o'clock at UB Stadium, and that'll be it for Ty B and Mike Bundt. This stampede never stops.